WordPress has a great menu system to let you add pages and even posts and categories into your main menu and show them at the top of your site. So if you go to Appearance and Menus, you'll find yourself on a screen kind of like this. In our case, what we're looking at is the main menu. I always name them very descriptive because no one outside of your site sees it, so you want something descriptive to you. And you'll see here we have tutorials with a drop down. The indent means drop down of WordPress, Facebook, Twitter, and Google+, then Meetup, Podcast, and Contact. And if you go to our site, you see exactly that, tutorials with the drop down and the Meetup, Podcast, and Contact. So there's two parts to the menu system back here. There's the building of the menu, and at the top here with these tabs, there's Manage Locations to choose where the menu will appear. The Manage Locations is very important, but is dictated by the theme itself. So in our case, we did it by hand, but you would typically choose which menu goes in there. You can create multiple menus and choose which menu shows up in there. And you can even add a menu as a widget on the site if you want to show a list of pages in the sidebar in a nice clean manner. The main part you'll do in here though is just editing the menu itself. So let's create a new menu to show you what we're looking at. So if we create a new menu, we'll just call this one Test Menu. So we need to create the menu. This will create it blank, and then we just need to add items to the menu. So typically what it defaults to is pages, and that's where you'll start. And often you want to add all your pages to it. You don't have to, certainly, but I usually say View All, Select All, and Add to Menu. And that'll take any of the checked items here and move them over to the right. So we'll give it a second, and all those will appear over here on the right-hand side of the screen. There we go. And so now you can see we've got all our pages in here. The Getting Started with WordPress, though, is actually one that's kind of hidden away on the site. I don't want that in the main menu, so I'm going to click it and say Remove. And note, this only removes the item from the menu. This doesn't hurt the page itself. So we'll remove that. And we actually have Home in here twice the way we've built the site, so we'll go ahead and remove one of those. All right, now we've got Home, Contact, Meetup, Podcast, and Tutorials. So we'll put Contact at the end. I kind of like that. But you noticed on ours it had links to some of the categories in here too. So what's neat is you can also go down to Posts, Custom Links, or Categories, or maybe more depending on how your site's set up. In our case, we'll go to Categories. I want to add some categories directly to the menu. So we'll add WordPress and Google+, and Twitter and Facebook. Now when we add these to the menu, they're going to show up at the bottom, and that's not what we want. That's going to make a big wide menu across the top. What we can do is drag these around in any order we want, but you'll notice you see the little dotted outline shows us below it. You can also indent it, and that'll make it a drop down of that item. So we'll do that as a drop down, do that as a drop down, do that as a drop down, and that as a drop down. And often save your menu just so you don't mess up what you're working on. And then another thing you can do in here that again doesn't affect the page itself, it only affects the way it shows up in the menu. Pretty much everything you do back here only affects the menu itself and not the actual pages. So we might want to rename some of these. So it's just called WordPress. The category is called WordPress, but that may not be descriptive enough. So if we wanted, we could go down and say change the navigation label to say WordPress Tutorials instead. And then just collapse that and it's saved there. You still need to save the main menu. But you can rename things in here. You may not want to call that same. You want to say Google and change it to say the word plus instead. That's fine. You can call these anything you want and they'll still link to the place they were originally set to link to. The other thing you can add along with individual posts, if you had a specific post you want to add, you could do that. You can use the search function to find an older post. You can add custom links as well. So in our case, perhaps I want to have a link back to our main Green Melon website. So I can say the URL is greenmelonmedia.com and the link text is Green Melon. You can have this link to any site in the world that you want. And again, we say add to menu and it shows up at the very bottom here, which is not necessarily where we want it. So in this case, maybe I want it to be a drop down under contacts. When you click on contact, it goes there, but you see the hover to drop down that takes you right up to the Green Melon site. Not exactly what I would probably do, but it gets you an idea of how it works. And again, save the menu here, choose your locations at the top that are based on what theme you choose, and that's how you manage your menus. If you have any questions, leave a comment and let us know. Thanks.